Hello there, and welcome to Pass Your Class Dante's DSST Test Prep. I'm excited to guide you through some real history of the Soviet Union DSST exam practice questions today. For over a decade, Pass Your Class has been empowering students to successfully earn college credit through Dante's testing, and we're thrilled to consistently maintain our remarkable 98% success rate among students who depend on our comprehensive study materials. In our session today, we'll explore challenging Soviet history questions covering Cold War interventions, international crises, pivotal events in Soviet decline, and transformative leadership policies. These critical topics illustrate how Soviet actions and policies shaped global politics throughout the 20th century. Let's dive into our Soviet history exploration. Who became the Marxist-leaning president of Chile in 1970? But was overthrown by a CIA-sponsored military coup in 1973. A. Nikita Khrushchev. B. Salvador Allende. C. Francisco Franco. D. Salvador Dali. The correct answer is B. Salvador Allende. Salvador Allende became Chile's president in 1970 through democratic elections, representing the first Marxist leader to gain power through peaceful, constitutional means in Latin America. During his presidency, Allende implemented socialist policies, including nationalization of major industries, particularly copper mines, and land redistribution programs that aligned with Soviet-style economic principles. His government established closer ties with the Soviet Union and Cuba, which concerned the United States during the height of the Cold War. The CIA, under the Nixon administration, actively worked to destabilize Allende's government through economic pressure, political interference, and support for opposition groups. On September 11, 1973, General Augusto Pinochet led a military coup that overthrew Allende's government, during which Allende died under disputed circumstances. This event represented a significant setback for Soviet influence in Latin America and demonstrated the lengths to which both superpowers would go to maintain their spheres of influence during the Cold War period. During the Suez Crisis, which country did the United States and Soviet Union object to France and Britain invading? A. Israel. B. Hungary. C. Colombia. D. Egypt. The correct answer is D. Egypt. The Suez Crisis of 1956 marked a remarkable moment when the United States and Soviet Union found themselves on the same side, both condemning the joint British-French-Israeli invasion of Egypt. The crisis began when Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal, prompting Britain and France to secretly coordinate with Israel for military action to regain control of this vital shipping route. The Soviet Union opposed the invasion as part of their support for anti-colonial movements and their growing influence in the Middle East, particularly their relationship with Nasser's Egypt. Simultaneously, the United States opposed the action because it undermined American influence in the region and violated principles of national sovereignty that the U.S. promoted in the post-colonial era. This rare Soviet-American cooperation forced Britain and France to withdraw, effectively ending their status as major global powers and marking a shift toward American and Soviet dominance in international affairs. The crisis also strengthened Nasser's position and Soviet influence in the Middle East. In what year did the Berlin Wall fall? Although the official removal of the wall would not finish until the next year. A. 1981. B. 1986. C. 1989. D. 1990. The correct answer is C. 1989. The Berlin Wall fell on November 9, 1989, marking one of the most symbolic moments in the collapse of Soviet communism and the end of the Cold War. The fall occurred due to mounting pressure from East German citizens demanding freedom of movement, combined with Mikhail Gorbachev's policies of glasnost and perestroika that had loosened Soviet control over Eastern European satellite states. On that historic evening, confused East German border guards, facing massive crowds and unclear orders about new travel regulations, opened the checkpoints, allowing thousands of East Berliners to cross into West Berlin for the first time in 28 years. Citizens from both sides immediately began attacking the wall with hammers, pickaxes, and anything they could find, creating the iconic images of celebration and liberation. While the physical demolition continued into 1990, The political and symbolic barrier that had divided Berlin since 1961 effectively ended that November night. Less than a year later, Germany was officially reunified on October 3, 1990, representing the definitive end of the Soviet sphere of influence in Central Europe. Which controversial figure introduced the new policies of glasnost and perestroika? A. Joseph Stalin. B. Leonid Brezhnev. C. Nikita Khrushchev. D. Mikhail Gorbachev. The correct answer is D. Mikhail Gorbachev. Mikhail Gorbachev introduced the revolutionary policies of glasnost and perestroika when he became General Secretary of the Communist Party in 1985, fundamentally transforming the Soviet Union and ultimately contributing to its dissolution. Glasnost promoted greater transparency in government, freedom of expression, and open discussion of social problems that had been suppressed under previous Soviet leaders. Perestroika aimed to restructure the Soviet economic and political system by introducing market-oriented reforms and reducing central planning. Gorbachev believed these reforms were necessary to revitalize the stagnant Soviet economy and restore the USSR's international competitiveness. However, these policies unleashed forces that Gorbachev could not control, including nationalist movements in Soviet republics and demands for greater democratic freedoms. His controversial legacy reflects this paradox. Supporters view him as a visionary who ended the Cold War and brought democracy to the Soviet Union, while critics argue that his attachment to communist ideals and his underestimation of reform consequences led to the Soviet Union's collapse and economic chaos in the 1990s. Fantastic work completing these History of the Soviet Union Dantes practice questions. You've just explored crucial events and policies that shaped the final decades of Soviet power and influence on the global stage. These questions represent only a small fraction of the comprehensive Soviet history content covered on the actual DSST examination. For complete preparation encompassing all major periods and themes, including the Russian Revolution, Stalinist policies, World War II, and the Great Patriotic War, Cold War tensions, space race achievements, economic challenges, and the eventual collapse of the USSR. Pass Your Class provides detailed study guides featuring extensive practice questions, political analysis, and historical context to help you understand the complex rise and fall of the Soviet Empire. Visit PassYourClass.com today to access your History of the Soviet Union Dantes DSST study materials and join our successful student community with that outstanding 98% pass rate. Thanks for exploring Soviet history with us today, and we're confident you'll achieve excellent results on your Dantes examination.